Just late again. What's good, everybody? I'm Winston A, aka the Swaggy Blerd, and this is my CPT review of Barbie. So before we jump into it, man, and I kind of give you the full rundown, please go down there, hit that subscribe button. If you end up liking this video, throw me a like, man, and be sure when we're all done here that you leave a comment. Tell me what you think about what I'm saying, what you thought about Barbie, all that good stuff. Now, for those that are joining me for this, obviously you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, Barbie came out last summer, bitch, so what are you doing? And the true answer to that, man, is other than I had a lot of life stuff going on last year, broke my leg, a strike for work, all sorts of stuff, man. I was able to get some stuff done content-wise, and I wasn't. It just kind of depended on where I was at in life at that particular moment. But more specifically, we're about 2 weeks away from the Oscars. And so what I wanted to do was do a full review and breakdown of the 10 best picture movies, give you kind of my thoughts of the film itself, and really where I think these awards might go. Now, all that being said, you know, it's kind of hard because I'm obviously recording these as I'm watching them. I watched Barbie now twice, both in theaters last summer and then at home after the fact. So, you know, I've had some time to kind of marinate on this one. But until I watch all of the films, it's going to be hard to predict. So I will do a last kind of prediction episode when it's time for that. But I want to talk about Barbie, the phenom that was this movie, man. We have seen a number of billion-dollar films over the years, not a whole lot, but like a decent amount. And this one came roaring in. Barbie at this point is sitting at $1.446 billion with a B. And it achieved a lot of milestones, including the highest grossing film of 2023, the 14th highest grossing film of all time, and at 17 days, Barbie tied the studio record for the fastest time to hit $1 billion globally, which is absolutely insane. And on top of that, you got Greta Gerwig here, who co-wrote and then directed the film, and she is the first female director to hit $1 billion at the box office. So just hearing that already, you know that this film clearly is something special. And what I personally like about Barbie, just off rip before I kind of dive deeper into the film, you don't see just top to bottom solid like comedic movies much anymore. There's still good comedies that are out there. I'm not gonna knock some of the stuff that we've seen, including inside some of the action. So like Across the Spider-Verse, for example, is more of an action comic book film, but that movie is hilarious. Like they do such a good job of layering humor, and that's just what's coming to my mind off the top of my head. But from top to bottom, you have such a comedic tone and style. You obviously take some serious moments, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but it's just genuinely really well put together. The dialogue is crisp. You know, I'm not sure how much of that was improvised and how much of that was just really, really solid writing. But I think when you couple a really well-written script, a really well-produced film, and then you put this many all-stars in one movie, and by all-stars I'm talking about Margot Robbie obviously as our main Barbie, Ryan Gosling as our main Ken, but then you have Issa Rae as President Barbie, Kate McKinnon as like Weird Barbie, Alexandra Shipp, Emma Mackey, Hari Neff, Sharon Rooney, Anna Cruz Kanye, Rita Aria, Dua Lipa makes an appearance. You have Simu Liu, Kingsley Ben-Adir, Nakatiu Gatwa, Scott Evans as a Ken. You have John Cena as Ken, and you throw in Michael Cera to come through and play Alan. Stellar casting. And those are just the Barbies and Kens. Let me not obviously forget our other two really major characters. You have America Ferrera, obviously. She's playing Gloria. She's playing Ariana Greenblatt's mom. And you think for a minute that Ariana Greenblatt is the one that was playing with the Barbie, but it's actually Gloria's Barbie, America Ferrera's Barbie. You have Helen Mirren as the narrator, and you throw in Will Ferrell as the Mattel CEO, just doing Will Ferrell things, man. Like, again, everything about this film from top to bottom is a very clear vision, and it is incredible to see. And so y'all know the story. Most people at this point have watched Barbie, or at least heard about it. Barbieland is perfect. Margot's Barbie starts to lose her mind a little bit. She starts to have really dark and depressing thoughts, and that's because a particular Barbie is reflected by the human that plays with them. She goes on a quest to try and restore things back, finds out that the real world is kind of crazy, and so does Ken. He learns about toxic masculinity, brings that back to the real world. To the Barbie world. Everything kind of turns on its ear. It's just a very, very well done film, and like a fun little commentary, like what happens when you take someone who essentially is pretty innocent, and how that affects them, and specifically how, if you were taking essentially Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden, it's kind of a way to think about it. What kind of happens when you end up in the modern day real world, and how that reflects back. So just a bunch of really like funny moments, like small lines, like, oh man, I'm feeling kind of off. I need some feminine energy. I'm gonna go to a construction site, and it's just a bunch of dudes just like hardcore hitting a Barbie. The very end, the idea that she's going in for her first gynecological appointment because now she actually has a vagina since she's been made human. The funny moments like that, the tricking the Kens by like, oh, I'm gonna listen to him play one. I don't think it was Wonderwall. That's the first song that's come to my head, but they're all singing their song and whatnot. Like, it's very, very well done. The musical numbers are great, and you had fun hearing stories like from Issa being like, oh yeah, I was working on a bunch of other stuff. They asked me to be in the film. I was down to do it. The day I fly in, they're like, oh, don't worry about it. You're not gonna do anything crazy. And then I immediately was thrown into a dance number. That's stuff like that is really, really funny to know. And then you get little lines like hers, like the one motherfucker that's thrown in there that gets bleeped out when she's coming down at the very end. Like, just a lot of fun stuff. But I think the vision and the tone of the film are extremely concise and tight, but genuinely what makes this film is the act. That is not a knock on anything else, but the acting is stellar. Now, let's actually talk about the Oscar nominations, because I know there was some controversy about the fact that Margot did not get nominated for lead actress, that Greta didn't get nominated for director, but let's not act like Barbie still didn't haul in so many nominations. So obviously I'm talking about it because of Best Picture, but you got Best Supporting Actor for Ryan Gosling, Best Supporting Actress for America Ferrera, Adapted Screenplay, Production Design, Costume Design, and then 2 nominees for Original Song in I'm Just Ken and What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish, both of which are stellar songs. So again, off the bat, I said the acting is what really nailed this home. And I think that Margot did a phenomenal job as an actress in this. But if I'm being just fully blunt and honest here, Margot's performance in this reminds me a lot, to be honest with you, of Chadwick's performance in Black Panther. And what I mean by that is, when I was watching Wakanda Forever, which I really, really love, it was a good film, but without Chadwick there, the heart of it did feel like it was missing at times. And so kind of using him as a conduit, like obviously Chadwick's passing, RIP, but using like T'Challa passing as like a narrative story was was good and was something that I think, trying to cope with grief and whatnot, I think it was a great story, but something was missing, genuinely. If Margot was not in this film, something would be missing. Absolutely would be missing. However, in Black Panther, I did not feel that Chadwick was actually the strongest actor or the most intriguing character in the original Black Panther. You need him. It's your blood. You know what I'm saying? That's your heart. But it is not, it's kind of like you need your heart to pump the blood and all that kind of stuff, but like the brain is what's special. You know what I'm saying? Like the other, there's other things, I guess, that's going on there. And so I feel the same way with Margot here. She crushed it, but I have actually seen her do even more of a stellar job as an actress in other roles. I think I, Tonya, like that year was stacked. I don't quite remember who she was up against, but that was a role where I was like, give her the goddamn Oscar. But you had moments where other actors just really just shone like crazy. Like, first of all, Ryan Gosling, incredible. I was a masterclass in a comedic role of, it's out there, but not putting it so out there that it's ridiculous. It's just compelling the whole time. Will Ferrell, every time he opens his mouth, as he is prone to do, absolutely hysterical. And then America Ferrera, the main thing about America, what happened with her role, which I think was so interesting, it reminds me a lot of the whole idea where you end up where someone might have a small little cameo supporting role and they get nominated. I think Alec Baldwin did that for, what was it, Ross, maybe? Something like that. But it's that the whole speech, always be selling shit, always be closing, excuse me. That was America here. Longer role, obviously, not a little 5-minute dink and dunk, but longer role, but a key moment that fully takes over, and it's the speech about what it takes to be a woman.
Never be rude, never show off, never be selfish, never fall down, never fail, never show fear, never get out of line. It's too hard, it's too contradictory, and nobody gives you a medal or says thank you. And it turns out, in fact, that not only are you doing everything wrong, but also everything is your fault.
Very powerful. But you've got a situation where you not only wrote the hell out of these other parts, you cast them so well, they just shone like crazy. They stole the show. And so that, to me, is kind of the other thing that's going on. It doesn't negate what Margot did, but I would even make the argument that Margot's strongest role in Barbie is as a producer. When you, again, look at the behind the scenes, look at the interviews and see what it took where she decided to take this movie on as a producer with her production company and to make this happen. And I genuinely, like, a movie's vision is tied to the director and to the executive producer. And so you look at what Margot did to get this made, and it became essentially a $1.5 billion movie. That is what deserves all the praise in the world, and that's where I think that Best Picture nomination is spot on. Now, it is a rough field here to kind of crack, because you're looking at some movies that are absolutely just blow your mind good. What people have been saying about Oppenheimer, how the only one that I've talked about so far is American Fiction, which I thought was just completely on point, and I personally just resonated with a little bit more. But again, everybody's going to feel a little different. You're going to be a little more connected to various films. It's obviously about Black artists, so that, in my mind, really I connected there. And family, I've been dealing, unfortunately, with a lot of family tragedy right now over the last year or so that too. I say all that to say, man, because I realize I'm kind of rambling on here. I think that, again, Margot's strongest hand that was played was her as a producer. I think she absolutely crushed that. And so that makes sense to me to make sure that she gets that Best Picture nomination. As far as Greta goes, I think it's kind of messed up that she didn't get director. I would genuinely, I'm working my way through all of the Best Director films, so I will have a more solid answer in the prediction where I think she could have taken a step in there. But I think, again, she wrote one hell of a fucking movie, and I think that is then reflected in the nomination that she got. But again, that's a stacked category for adapted screenplay. So again, we'll revisit that once we're done with everything. So all that being said, man, I think that this movie was spectacular. I'll be honest, Barbie is definitely within my top 10, but that's top 10 films of 2023. It's kind of, for me, outside of that top 5. And again, that's just as with movies in general, we all resonate with things differently. We all see, different things and stuff. And so, like for me, for example, I don't necessarily think it's going to be the case for a whole bunch of people, probably more black people than anything, but like The Blackening is in my top 5. That movie was absolutely hysterical, but again, that's because it has to do with my culture. It has to do with like storylines that are like going through and stuff like that. For me, some of the cameos and stuff, like there's just different things. And I'm very curious as I continue to watch these films, will things kind of shift around, stuff like that? Like, is Barbie going to remain in my top 10? It probably will. There's, again, this is too well done of a movie from top to bottom. But, The Blackening, like, for me, I would probably say, Across the Spider-Verse was my number 1, or somewhere, like, floating between, like, 1 and 3. It depends on the day and what you're talking about, but either way, that's the only other thing that I was going to say about that. But again, I want to know what you think. What did you think about the Barbie movie? What did you think about the nominations? There's rumors of a Mattel Cinematic Universe, another MCU. Please don't ruin a good thing. If you do a sequel, like, it needs to be super solid, but I hesitate to immediately jump into another franchise, especially from something that doesn't need a series of franchises or crossovers. If they can make it work and it's good and it doesn't diminish the quality and you want to make print money, fine, but like, it needs to be solid. And that's why I'm more convinced to, like, that was something so incredible. Find something else that we can continue to do that with, like another either original IP or an IP we can build off of. But yeah, that's what I have to feel about all that. So again, go down in the comments, let me know. Please be sure, if you haven't, again, I'll say it again, please subscribe to this channel. Go ahead and hit that like button, man, and share this out with folks. And let me know what you think. What did you think about Barbie? I said that before. And what do you think? Or do you think it has a shot? I think it has a very strong shot to win the production and costume and all of that. I think that the acting and writing categories are very stacked, so it's going to be pretty hard to crack that walnut, man. But we will see what happens. I mean, it already was breaking records at the box office, so who knows? It could potentially sweep all of the categories that it's in, but we'll have to see what happens. So with that, y'all, I'm gonna get out of here, so be sure to stay safe and come on back as I cover the next set of films. And I believe this is coming out on a Tuesday, so tomorrow I'm actually going to take a small break from this, and I'm going to cover the first Dune in honor of Dune 2 coming out. Technically the first, but they do Thursday previews, so I wanted to get that out just in time. So with that, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. See you next time, man. Peace.